Thanks, Lee. Good evening and welcome to the Fans Forum 2024. And also good evening to those of you who are watching this live on YouTube. It's about 500 the last time we did that. People watching on YouTube. Maybe with the panel we've got this evening, there might be even more than 500. My name is Neil Kelly. I obviously work for BBC Essex. The prime thing that I've done over the last 30 years is covering Colchester United, but most of you here probably don't hear me that often, and that's because you are the season ticket holders and you get yourselves to not just every home game, but I saw there's fantastic support at Crawley on Saturday. Nearly 1,000 of you, many of you will be there. But don't forget, after the game's finished, Victoria would want us to give it a plug. We are on air till 6 o'clock, and we do get to talk to the manager and one of the players at the end of the game. So that's me, but it's not me you're here to see and hear from this evening. It's the panel. So I'm just going to make a brief introduction to who we've got this evening. We have got the chairman and owner of Colchester United, Robbie Cowling. In addition, we have the U's sporting director, Dmitri Halajko. Two more. The head coach of Colchester United, Nicky Cowley. And last, and certainly not least, the assistant head coach, Nicky Cowley. But it is a fans forum. And this evening it is about you and the questions that you wish to ask. And we have had some questions submitted in advance. So we'll get through the questions that have been submitted in advance during the course of the evening. But we will be relying upon you, the authentic voice of the fans of Colchester United, to put some good questions to the panel during the course of the evening. But first, can I leave you in the capable hands, and I'm quickly coming to the conclusion, very capable hands of Nicky Cowley, because our head coach, Danny, would like to have a word with you directly himself. Danny, it's all yours, and Lee will look after you.
Thanks, Neil. Hello, everybody. So good to see everyone. Honestly, it's a pleasure for Nicky and I to come here this evening and to meet you. I know that we've probably met most of you already, but yeah, I think these evenings are just so important for us just to just spend some time with each other really, and just keep trying to build and grow the connection. We wake up every morning with the responsibility of coaching this wonderful football club, and we know how much this club means to so many people, and yeah, for us to do a job that means so much to so many is a real privilege. I thought we would just start this evening with just a couple of slides really, and it's just for us to tell you a little bit about, I suppose, the way that we work, and to give you a little bit of an insight into the way that we work and how we've worked since we've been here from the beginning of this calendar year, really, and then how hopefully we would like to work moving forward. Let's see if I can work this. Maybe this way. Here we go. Here we go. Perfect. So I think the first slide is just about trying to become one club. And when we first spoke to Robbie and Dmitri, I think instantaneously, really, we were pretty aligned with our values. And Robbie was kind enough to share his values that he lives by, and that he encourages his organisations to live by. And for us, the values, I suppose, are really important, because they give you a platform to work from, and obviously the fast-paced nature of professional football, you're having to make decisions day in, day out, and sometimes they're tough decisions. And I always think if you go back to your values and what you stand for, then sometimes those difficult decisions can become that much easier. And yeah, for us, it's about hard work. It's about respect. We love people that are humble. We like people that want to get better and want to improve. I think this is really important. And of course, in elite sport, you need to be really resilient. And of course, this season we've had to show. I think the whole club has had to show a lot of resilience, not just the players and the staff, but obviously you guys too. And yeah, for us, the values kind of are what we stand for. And then the behaviours are the players really. And we always, when we first go into a club, we try to get the players to speak about what's important for them and what they think the team needs to do in order to perform consistently well. And these are the three behaviours that the players come up with. So, and we can ultimately, we always think that if they choose them, then we can make them accountable to them. And they chose team first, so always putting the team before themselves. Obviously, sometimes in football, there can be individual disappointment. Maybe a player loses his place in the team. Maybe a player gets injured. Maybe a player gets sent off. But never to let the individual disappointment get bigger than the team. We talk a lot about positive energy and trying to bring energy and enthusiasm. I think these are wonderful attributes to have, and I actually believe they're qualities that are really infectious. And so the players always to bring positive energy every day. And the last one was, I think, really relevant to the situation we were in, and it was just to play with no fear. And that's why I think we were really disappointed in the last part of the Wrexham game, because we felt in the last half an hour we actually played with a bit of fear, and we ended up letting Wrexham back into the game when we were in such a good position. So these are the behaviours, and this is what we try to keep the players accountable to. And I suppose the next layer is just around processes, and really this pyramid is just about us and how we work. So for us, it's around communication, planning, and also learning. And it's we try to train the players to be good learners. We don't hide that. I think the best players that we work with, you only ever have to tell once, and they're able to take good information on board. And then really the centre of everything is about people, and it's always for us to try to put the people first. And it doesn't matter to me if you're our number 9 centre forward, or you're the person that makes the tea. Everybody's as important as everyone else. Everybody's a cog in the wheel, and it's always for us to try to make everybody feel really valued and really part of the team and part of the performance, so that when we win on a Saturday, everybody feels that they've contributed. And I think if you can do all these things, then you can kind of create a vision where you're constantly day in, day out trying to be better than yesterday. And this is how you get really good progress. And I don't know, the best organisations that I've been lucky enough to work with kind of have that alignment where everybody is aligned. And I think the wonderful thing for Nicky and I, when we first met Robbie, it was that we had a lot in common. And I think we shared a lot of similar values, and this makes it really easy for us to work in this at this wonderful football club. And yeah, for me, the biggest thing is just around trying to create a sense of belonging, because I think if you can create a sense of belonging, then everybody gives a little bit more. And for you guys, this football club is in your heart, and for some people, a football club is the only safe and secure place that they come. And sometimes people don't have family, and their football club becomes their family. And this is why it's so precious, and this is why we have to make sure we work so hard to look after it. And we try to remember that all the time, every day that we work. We're just going to talk to you a little bit just around. I've got to point this in the right direction. Oops, I'm going the wrong way now. Here we go. Just a little bit around our game idea, really. So it's always, people always ask us around game models, and I think always for us to try to communicate. I suppose this is, this is our ideals. This is what we're working towards. I'm not sure you ever get there in football because there's so many moving pieces, but this is certainly what we would like to try to work towards. So we want to be organised in every moment of the game. So yeah, whether that be the positional attack, the counter attack, our organised defence moments, or the defensive transition, and of course the fifth cycle is the set pieces, which particularly in the lower leagues plays such a pivotal role in the outcomes of games. But we always say this: are we playing together, or are we just playing at the same time? And for us, we always want the players to be aligned, to have complete we always think this, right? We always think that it's our job to give the players clarity over how we want to play. And then if we give them really good clarity, hopefully they can find a good level of consistency. So in a nutshell, and it's never easy to do this, it's never easy to put your whole game idea and your whole game model into a couple of sentences, but we want to try to play fast attacking, high energy football. We like the players to think forward, to run forward and to play forward. And even when we defend, we want to attack. And that really, in a nutshell, is how we want the game to be played. We like to dominate the ball in the attacking half. We ultimately want the game to be really exciting. We want it to be full of action, and to encourage you guys to get off your seats and really get behind the players. I think I'm going to pass you over to Nicky now, because this is just a couple of clips really, and this is obviously really early in our time here. So we've just picked a couple of clips that maybe, yeah, just encapsulates really what we've just spoken about.
Good evening, everybody. It's a pleasure to meet you all and to be in person with you. And to think forward and run forward and play forward, but we also want to be a team that are really hard to play against and are really difficult to beat, and we want to have really good defensive organisation as well.
Let's see if I can get to this next one. Here we go. It's that clip that we would like. Here we go.
Thinking team, and we want to be purposeful in what we do. This was a clip against Harrogate Town, where again we're really aggressive in terms of our pressing. I thought we did this well against Crawley recently as well in the game that we won on Saturday. But yeah, just working really hard to get the ball back and not letting the opponent have time on the ball. And then after winning it, then looking to play forward at every opportunity. And we have some really good combination play there and finished with a shot that just went past the post. But they're the type of actions that we love to see. And that's how we want our team to look, because we feel that that's the best way for us to connect with you guys, because we want to be a team that you're so proud of, and we want to be a team, like I said, that's really hard to beat and really difficult to play against, but also really exciting to watch.
And these really are just the principles that we live by. There are 4 principles. So we like our teams to be aggressive. I think in order to be aggressive and to defend early, then you always have to be compact, do that from good defensive organisation. And then offensively, we always like to try to speed the game up. So this is something that we work really hard to do, to try to speed our play up. And then when we do go into the attacking half, like Nicky says, we like to dominate the game. So this idea of staying in. And really for us is to try to find the best way to get the players to understand our game model. So we try to keep it as simple and as clear as we can. So there's actually 4 principles that we live by, and maybe maybe just 12 just 12 sub principles. Away from the pitch, this is just kind of the process, and I just wanted to share a little bit of this with you, and it's a little bit about where we've been and hopefully where we're going. And just this idea, I quite like this, just trying to be better than yesterday. So I won't spend too much time on this, but this is the players' timetable, because I know you guys probably think that players only work 2 hours a day, but sometimes now they work a little bit harder. So this would be their schedule over the week, and we do a lot of work, not just on the field, because there's only so much on the field coaching you can do, but we also do a lot of work off the field, trying to develop their knowledge and their understanding, and trying to improve them as players, because we know that if we can improve them as players, then we give ourselves a really good opportunity of getting better as a team. I can move this on. Yeah, of course, at this football club, we have a wonderful academy. And when we first spoke to Robbie highlighted to us how important the academy is. And I think for us, to wake up every morning with the opportunity to work with so many good young players is just so super exciting. And yeah, for us, when we're trying to develop young players, I think these are some of the things that we think about. So always try to create a competitive and challenging games program, because this is so important for them. So we have boys like Bradley and Sampson at the moment who have just got so much talent. And I think the academy deserves so much credit for the players that they've produced in recent times. And yeah, now for us to try to keep developing them and improving them, so that hopefully, firstly, we can enjoy them in the first team, and then maybe at the right time, then they obviously become assets, and then maybe we can sell them, and as Robbie's model says, that then reinvest that back into improving the team. So yeah, definitely the games program is important. Trying to provide an on-field and off-field coaching provision that really allows them to develop. I think trying to create a culture around learning and development. I think this is really important. We want the players to be really humble, and we want them to take ownership for their own learning and their own performances. And this is something, someone like Jaden Feverer, for example, he has on his phone, he has about 150 of his clips of his performances, good and bad. So every game he watches the game back and he clips it for himself. And he normally only ever shows me the good ones. So I always we have this idea. I show him show him ones that maybe areas for development, and he shows me the ones that he really enjoys. But it's a good way for us to work. And I think also with the young players, what's really important is not just what happens at the training ground, but it's about us trying to educate them on how to live a professional life. Because really, to be a professional footballer is 24/7. If you want to be good and you want to be the best, then you've got to do it. It's got to be an everyday thing, 24/7, 365 days a year, and you've ultimately got to live the best life if you want to be the best you can be and make the most of your potential. Just a really short bit on recruitment, really, and this is just something that we've worked to in the past, really, and I think we have some work in the summer, hopefully, in terms of improving the squad. And trying to complement what we've already got in the building. But if we can find underrated, undervalued players that are humble and hungry, I think that this is a really good start. And yeah, if we can find players that can run, because football now is such an athletic game, but more than that, actually, most importantly, want to run. And I think that this again is really, really important. And then, yeah, of course, we talk about the player, but actually, as important as that is the person, and trying to bring the right person, the positive energy, the enthusiasm, and something that Nicky and I always look for is a love for the game. Because I think if we can find players that love the game, then instantly we have some alignment and have something in common. And yeah, really, this is just a little bit about how we set our teams up, and maybe some of the attributes we look for in the players in certain positions. Now, we can tilt our team either way. So sometimes, football, we talk a lot about formations, but ultimately, the football's a really fluid game. You're coming in and out of formations all the time, and you're one formation in attack, you're another formation in defence, you're a formation when you're in your own half, you're another formation in the attacking half. But yeah, these are just some of the things that we look for. So when we sit down with Dmitri and the recruitment team, it's just about trying to find alignment, really, so that we're totally clear on how we want to play. We're really clear on the players and the attributes we need the players to have in order to play the way we want to play. And I think if we can align all of that, then recruitment becomes so much easier. Because as you can imagine, when, you know, in this country, there are so many players that play that are professionals, and there's so many players available to you, and what you have to do really, what you have to have is a really good filter so that you can narrow it down and hopefully find the right players. And because it's not always having the best players that makes a successful team. It's about having the right ingredients. It's about having the players and the right partnerships. And this is something that in our experience has been really important. So yeah, that's just a team tilted the other way. So we can tilt the team either way, really. So it's just yeah, what we always like either a fullback that can play as a supporting player, and then a really touchline winger that's really quick. So at the moment you see Jay Mingy's playing as playing quite narrow on the right hand side, and you see Jaden Fevre playing on the touchline. Is something that we really like. And then on the other side you might see Ellis Andelo, who's getting a little bit more on the overlap, and then Noah Chilvers, who's playing a little bit more inside the pitch. And yeah, we call it lopsided balance, but it allows us to get good numbers in the middle, and also a lot of attacking players in the top end of the pitch. Yeah, and I'm going to finish just with this, really, and this was just to give you an idea of the short-term plan. So I think when Nicky and I come in January, obviously the team was in a difficult moment, and really our ambition was to try to retain our status in the EFL, and that's what it was. And I think to do that, we've tried to create a consistent and clear game model that we've shown with you today. And then it was just to prioritise some key principles. Now, the team, when we inherited it, had some problems defensively, particularly defending its box and from set pieces and open play crosses. There was some weaknesses there. So we've worked really hard to try to improve those aspects of the game. And then, yeah, the last part really was about you guys and trying to connect you guys. And I think for us, we know how important the supporters are. And we know in the lower leagues, when you're in the Premier League, you become a spectator to me. You go to the games and you're almost expected to be entertained. Whereas when you're in the lower leagues, I think you understand that actually you can have an impact and an influence on the outcome of the game. Like you guys that went to Crawley on Saturday, those that were here on Tuesday night, you have such an influence on the outcome of the game. And that's the difference to me between being a spectator and being a supporter. A supporter actually affects the outcome of the game. And we know for us that what we want to achieve for this football club, we need you. That it's not going to happen without your contribution. And yeah, really, if that was a short-term plan, this is the long-term plan. And yeah, I think for us, hopefully with the help of recruitment, to evolve the game model and start to work towards, or continue to work towards, where we want to be. Trying to recruit assets, which I think this club has done in the past. I mean, we're so lucky here because we've got some brilliant young players that are coming through that become natural assets. Sampson, Bradley, Jaden Fevrier, just to name a few. And then for us to work on the training pitch, to develop those assets and to try to make the players better. And then I think then to enjoy them. And that's where I think Robbie is so supportive that, you know, you had boys like Junior who ends up playing a significant amount of games. Everyone gets to enjoy them. The academy feel really good because they've helped the first team. The first team feel really good because they've enjoyed the young player and watched his development. And then at the right time for everybody, then to sell the asset, to reinvest the money and to build again. And I think if you can do that, you start to create this kind of winning on winning momentum. And once you get momentum in football, it can be so powerful and it can be so exciting and it can honestly be so much fun. And I think that pretty much is us, really. Yeah, I won't talk too much. Nicky said I had 20 minutes, so I owe you 4. But I think you've heard some of this before, Nick, haven't you? But for us, it was really, I don't know, it was always my idea to try to share with you what we see for the club and what we want for the club, and sometimes, yeah, to have this communication and to have sort of, I suppose, clear lines of communication can be good for us all.
Can I just say quickly as well, sorry, just thank you so much for your support since we've arrived. It makes such a difference. And there's been some electric moments. I remember us scoring a third goal at home against Forest Green when we went 3-2 up. And yeah, the stadium just felt so fantastic. It felt great to be a part of it. And then when Jay Mingy scored that last second goal against Newport at home, what an incredible feeling that we all shared together in that moment. And in such an important victory as well that we've got Tuesday night against Grimsby in such a high-pressured game for us to stick together and to find a way of winning that night was fantastic. And the boys appreciate your support so much, and so did Danny and I. Thank you.
Thank you, Danny and Nicky. More to come from both of you. The Jay Mingy goal, that ruined my voice for about several days thereafter, even though I had Tranmere Rovers coaches to come on the following Monday. Got a big panel this evening. Now, I know you guys out there are itching to go to the bar. There will be a chance for you to, actually, I'm sure if you wish to go to the bar now, you can do, but we will have a break around 7:45 in about 20 minutes' time. The main focus after that break will be the questions from the floor. But as you know, we've got that big YouTube audience, and it was also not possible for everyone to get here this evening who wished to. So we have already got a few questions that have been submitted. So let's see if we can involve some of the rest of the panel. The first question from Matt Smith. It's to Robbie Cowling, and the question is, in 2020, Stockport County announced a 7-year plan to reach the championship by 2027. In just 4 years, they've achieved 2 promotions and now find themselves preparing for League One football. Of course, hoping that we survive this year. Is there a 7-year, 5-year plan at Colchester United for on and off the pitch to mirror the kind of achievement that Stockport County have achieved? Robbie.
The short answer is no. There is not a plan that. Sorry. The short answer, and I always try to be honest, is no. There's not a specific plan over any term. I did actually try that when I first bought the club many moons ago. We had such similar plans of what we were planning to do. And there are just so many variables in football that's difficult to do. But, you know, first of all, I wish Stockport all the best of luck with that. They are spending an enormous amount of money to try to achieve what they're doing, and they're doing a really good job of it. So good luck to them, and they've done extremely well. So congratulations to them. But, no, there's not that sort of a specific plan. The plan with the club, it's similar to what Danny said with the values, really. The thing that I try to do in my own life and I try to do with a football club is to make it the best version of itself that it can be and try to be a better version tomorrow than it was the day before. Now, we've had mixed results doing that. In some ways, certainly over the years, we're a lot better than we've ever been in the past. And other ways, in terms of league status, we're not as good as we've been in the past. But no, I tend to work not on a specific plan like they're saying they've got, because I've seen so many of them, and most of them don't survive. You know, it's like a battle plan that don't survive the first bullet. I think if you can work away and try to do things a lot better, there are a lot of long-term plans in the club to do things and make improvements. So, and I think, as I say, off the field, I think we've been very successful at doing those things, and we're always looking at what we can do better. But to have a plan to become a championship club or this in so many years, the only answer I can give is no, we don't have such a plan. No.
And you will get a chance to follow up on everything that our panels say in the first half of this evening's programme, when you get a chance from the floor to put your own questions and share your thoughts. Second, also to you, Robbie, 2 in a row. This one's from Jamie Hudson. How well positioned is the club to put in a large investment into the playing squad next season?
Well, I think I put a large investment into the club every season. So, you know, our budget this year is about twice what it was 2 years ago. So we've had a good budget in the last year. We've not had any problems then. We've spent more money on travel than we've ever spent. We've spent more money on medicals than we've ever spent. So there's been good investment in the club, and it's a significant investment for Colchester United to achieve what it achieves. So, so the answer, I guess, is yes. There is a significant investment, as there is every year since I've ever been here.
I was here last year, same time, and you promised a top 6 budget, but you also added that you can never be certain what other clubs spend, and there has been at least 3 clubs in the League Two this season who've spent big.
Yeah, so the budget when we went into this season was 2.5 million, and that was the budget that we started the season. Just below that, we always hold a little bit back for January, so we hold a bit of that back. So we had a 2.5 million budget, which, when we looked at the numbers last year, would have been a top 6 budget. When we started the season, it was maybe top 10. Of course, because of the situation we're in January, we went again, and we spent a bit more than we'd held back. So, yeah, we've had a decent budget this year, but I'd imagine our budget is lower than Forest Green's. Now, they're the only club relegated at the moment, but from what we know, their budget was significantly better now. So the budget isn't everything. I tend to judge the coaches on, if I give them a top 10, if I give them the 10th best budget, I'd like to finish at least 10th, you know. If I give them a bottom 6 budget, I can't really expect any more than that. But yeah, we had a good budget last year, and going forward the next year, we'll have a similar budget. We'll be around that 2.5 million. We'll have to see where we are for definite at the moment. I'd imagine next year that will be a stronger budget than it's been this year. We're already losing 3 teams out the league that we know have got very big budgets. And with the teams coming down and the ones that look like they're coming up, I think it'll be a more competitive budget next year. So maybe that will be a top 6 budget. I don't know, but I'd imagine it'll be a reasonable budget. So, but of course, quite a bit of our budget is already spent, because we don't, you know, Danny and Nicky haven't got £2.5 million to go out and sign who they want. There's players under contract. I think we've got a pretty good squad as it stands, and I think they're showing that. I think with some additions, it should be good, but that's going to be for these guys to work out.
Robbie, could you pass the microphone over to Dmitri? A couple of questions for you, Dmitri. And you may say, look, it said it's for you, Dmitri. You might say, Neil, hang on a moment. There are others in the panel who might want to deal with this as well. But here we go, Dmitri. Colchester, this is also from Jamie Hudson. Colchester have one of the youngest squads in the EFL. Something to be proud of. Is the aim to have a more experienced squad next season? I think the sense from the question is fabulous commitment to youth, but there's also a downside of being over-reliant on youth. Dmitri, if you'd like to field that.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I think next year we'll definitely look to add some experience in some key positions. That's definitely something we've lacked a little bit this season. So the next window will give us a chance to address that and have a healthy balance. We always want youth in our teams. That's aligned all the way from the club, right from Robbie, right through to these guys. We like the energy that brings, but equally, Danny calls it, you need a few dads in the team. And we've missed out on a few occasions this year. There's been some games due to some of our more established players being injured. We've been even younger than we even prepared for, with people like Kells, who's a big leader for us and a big player, having quite a lot of injuries this year. So we've been even younger than we designed. So we need to readdress that balance a little bit, yeah.
Is that the story with other clubs at the top end, that they've got that nucleus of 24 to 30, 31? Is that a key ingredient in terms of success at League Two level?
Yeah, experience can be really valuable, you know, especially in football. So you always want to, certainly every successful team will have an element of that. So you have to get those key experienced players in the right positions, and they've got to be the right makeup for the team. So that's definitely something that we've already spoke about, looking forward to next year, that hopefully we can get some of those key players in.
And then one more for you, Dmitri, you're in demand. Targets for the summer. How advanced is that work? How does the process work? Who's watching all these players? And is there some big magical list? And who else contributes in that process in terms of identifying talent for the season 24-25?
Yeah, we've probably just started looking at it the last couple of weeks. We have a recruitment meeting every other week on a Thursday. Danny and Nicky, myself, Simon Bassey, we've just brought in to come and help with some of the recruitment. Simon's worked with these guys before at Portsmouth, so he's out there watching a lot of games for us as well. So at the moment, we're in the stage of compiling the long list So all the players that are out of contract, all the players that might be available to loan for some of the key positions that we're looking for. And then we'll start to do our detailed work on those, going out to watch them, doing the statistical breakdown, looking at the stats, going out and watching them, speaking to their agents, speaking to the players themselves, and whittling that down, to 2 or 3 into the shortlist. But we're not into shortlist territory yet. We're into building the long list, seeing who's available, seeing what are the key positions, and we've got our next recruitment meeting next week. So each week we're building on it and moving nearer and nearer. But obviously when we find out where we are for next season, that's a big step for us to be able to kick the recruitment process onto the next level. At the moment, we're doing our background work.
Thanks, Dmitri. We ought to hear something from Nicky. So Ben Jeffries levels the question to Danny. But Nicky, you have got a big part in things, and it's a relationship. You two, the relationship it might be interesting to explore anyway. So this is from Ben Jeffries, Nicky. Hoping we stay up. I think we all want that. What will be done next season to ensure we not only keep our status in the Football League, but progress up the league? So Nicky, you and Danny arrive here in January, but Robbie's been here not quite as long as me, but we know what it's been like for the last 4 years in particular. What's the prospects, Nicky, you and Danny, that whatever happens, presuming that the club stay up this season in EFL League 2, that next season we won't be worrying at this time of year about the possibility of relegation? Nicky?
Well, I think first and foremost, our immediate focus is absolutely on retaining our status in this division, and we've still got some work to do to achieve that. We've just literally left the training ground to come here because we're doing our preparation for a tough game at Notts County on Saturday. So, yeah, all of our focus and attention is to achieve the objective that's straight ahead. And, yeah, once we do achieve that, then, it's great to come and see you all tonight, because Danny had the opportunity of kind of giving you a flavour for some of the things that we do behind the scenes. And I think what's so important if you want to have success in life is having a real clear process and a way of working. Danny and myself have worked together for a number of years now and have a lot of experience in football management now. And we've had some great times in the past with the clubs that we've been at, and we're thoroughly looking forward to the challenge ahead. And I think that if we can make sure that we give real clarity to the players on how we want to play, then we'll get a level of consistency from the players. And yeah, it's making sure that we keep our process on a day-to-day basis really consistent, reviewing games, watching back our performances. I think Danny touched on that Wrexham game that we had just recently, where we really was disappointed with the last half hour. So we need to take the learning from that and actually figure out, well, why did that happen? What went wrong? What could we have done better if we was to be in that situation again? So absolutely analysing our own performances and reviewing that, but then also being really thorough in terms of the preparation for the opponent that we're playing and picking what we think is the right team for the different challenges that come up in League 2. I was so proud of the players in the last 2 matches, because we went to Crawley and played a certain type of opposition that were a really possession-based team and managed to be, really compact and organised and hard to beat against the ball, but then we're also a real threat in transition ourselves when we turned the ball over. We had some real pace and some really good ball carries on that day and scored 3 really good goals. But then we had a completely different challenge on Tuesday night against Grimsby, where they were a much more physical, direct team, and they tried to load the ball into our box really early. And we really stood up and won both boxes really well and headed the ball out of our box and got a really, hard-working performance from the boys and a well-deserved 2-0 win. So we know that League 2, throws up different types of challenges and different types of opponents. So it's to make sure that we do our preparation correctly with that and to train really hard and work so hard on a day-to-day basis to make sure the players are improving as well. And, techniques, tactics are so important, but the way you make people feel and the way the group feel on a day-to-day basis is such a big part of being a successful group and a successful club. And that's something that's, very much in Danny and my mind when we come into work every day, following through these trademark behaviours of being really positive, putting the team first, being fearless in our approach and our attitude. are all messages that we have to send consistently. And when we fall short in those ways, in those behaviours, then it's for us to hold ourselves accountable and to work out the reasons why.
What's it like working with him? Do you argue? I mean, I argue with my brothers all the time. You
Never.
work with,
We
I mean,
never
both
argue.
of you can have a go at this one. What's it like working with each other? You made a habit of it.
Yes, we have. We get asked this question a lot. I suppose our relationship is pretty unique. Nicky is actually 3 years younger than me, but he has a lot of grey hair, which he blames me for. Says I'm not that easy to work with. But no, I think for us, we kind of, we started out, Nicky played for me. And so he actually, my first ever game as a manager, Nicky scored a hat-trick and we won 6-0 against Sawbridgeworth, and it was in the Essex Senior League. And we managed to have some success at Concord Rangers. We had 3 promotions, and Nicky played probably for the first 7, 8 years. And then, then his body gave up on him. But yeah, we managed to have some promotions. And since Nicky stopped playing, we've got a lot better. So I'll let you work out whether that's because he's a really good coach or not very good player. But no, seriously, I think for us, it's a quite a unique relationship. But we kind of have that telepathy where we know how each other works, and I think we can both come in and out of good cop and bad cop. And what we always try to do is we're never both cross with the same player. We always try to leave the player somewhere to go, which I think can be really, really important. I suppose because of the journey that we've been on, and we've been fortunate enough to manage in 8 of the top 9 divisions, you kind of when you start out in the Essex Senior League at Concord Rangers, you don't have sports scientists, you don't have kit men, you don't have all of the kind of wonderful support provisions that we have now. So as a consequence, you have to do quite a lot yourself. But you do get a good understanding of all of those roles, and I think that then does help you when you then are in a more fortunate position and able to delegate. And for Nicky and I suppose, we can come in and out of all of the different roles, and it's a relationship that ultimately works for us.
Thanks, Danny. Robbie, we've got a few questions for you. We'll try and knock a few off now, and then maybe we'll mix them in with some of the questions that we get from the room in the second half. So how are things progressing? This is from Dean Bennell. How are things progressing with the new training ground plans, and ultimately, what does it mean for Florence Park and the potential financial future of the club?
Sorry, just to clarify the question. So this is about potential new training ground.
Yep.
At Foresters.
And when you vacate Florence Park, what happens there? And are there any implications for the financial future of the club that you are aware of?
Okay, so what happened about 2 years ago, I bought a golf course that's just over the road near where I live. It's called Forester Park. It's an 18-hole golf course. And the plan at the time I bought it was to either buy some land next to it that we could build a training ground on, or to turn it into a 9-hole golf course and just for a training ground. Now, to fund that would mean we put houses on where Florence Park is at the moment. So that would be the future. If this was to unfold, then the current training ground would be 125 houses on it. That's if we was to progress it. Since then, I think a lot of people are aware there's quite a collapse in the housing market at the moment, and there's no chance of me building 125 houses and selling them to finance that at this moment in time. So that is very, very much one of them longer term plans that's got a bit longer, because there's just not the means to do it. So one of the ways I do business is I never borrow money. So everything I've ever done since I've been in business, I buy as I go. I pay for it as I go along. I've never borrowed, so I don't risk anything. I've either got it or I don't. So I would have to be able to fund the building of the training ground, and that would rely on the selling of the houses. So that's very, very much on hold. But it's another exciting plan that's available. We do have the facility if we need to go and do a bit of football training over at the golf course. Some of the players play golf there occasionally. It's a very nice fit, and it's a really nice golf course. So if anybody's looking to, we've got memberships at the moment, so I'll throw that one in there. If anyone's looking to want to go and join, it's a very good golf course.
Yep. Thanks, Robbie. We'll do one more from the list, and then we'll have our break. And you've got the mic, so you can take it. This is from Jean Johnson. It's to you, Robbie. please can the club provide signposts and stewards to channel the cars leaving the car park into 2 alternative exits. Regular fans know which exit lane to get into, right or left, but visitors do not. And this really slows down the procedure. Any thoughts on that?
Okay. As I understand it, the exit in the stadium has got a hell of a lot better recently than what it used to be.
They want it even better, I think. Yeah.
No. Listen, it's never going to be good enough. I understand that, but this is the first I've heard of this one, so I'm just trying to work out where we stand with it, okay? I think the best thing to do to whoever's raised that question, if they want to send through a nice proposal of how the car park should
Gene
be
Johnson.
exited. Yeah?
Yeah.
Sorry?
Gene Johnson, we'll put her in touch
If
with
Gene
you.
wants to do a really nice document and explain to us how we could do it better, we can look into that. I'm not saying we'll do it, but we'll certainly take it seriously. It's very easy for someone to just say do things better. If someone's got some ideas how to do it, we're always happy to listen to their ideas. If they can put it through in a nice plan that we can follow, we'll try to do it. My understanding is exiting the car park has got a lot better at the moment since somebody managed to drive through that gate and smash their way through it. So
That wasn't you.
If it gets repaired, it might be me the next time, all right, to go through it. Who knows what's going to happen when they start opening the cinema and everything else next door? My guess is there could be havoc again. We don't get a lot of help, when we try to ask for things to be done to try get out. We know since the road opened that come up from the town, the roundabout gets blocked and you can't get out on match days. A little bit of help there would be nice, all right? At one time, we had our steward, I think some of you know this, we got one of our stewards getting in our minibus and he would drive up the road and just keep driving around the roundabout so he could let people out. So now I doubt Jean's going to have that one in her plan, although now she's aware that we will stoop that low, maybe she will. But yeah, Jean, please put forward your suggestions and we'll do what we can.
I can't leave it there. You suggested we don't get much help. Which bodies are you referring to? Is there a body out there who could be more helpful to you and the club in all regards?
Well, we feel they can, all right?
And
so
who's they?
I
That's what I'm
suppose
trying to work out.
the they, all right. Well, I'll let you guess who the they are, okay? But we've had some big games here and like concerts here, and what you find is suddenly they're out in force with their parking tickets, and people come here for an event and find they go home with tickets slapped on their car. But you've only got to come here during the day to see there's about 50 cars parked down the road at the moment, illegally parked, and that seems to get away with it and be okay. So the they, I don't know, what do you call them?
The they.
The they,
Yeah. They, you. Thank you very much for the. Oh, you want to say something more?
The club don't have just everything in their capacity to do anything they want. We are looking into ways of making it better. I think we get people into the car park a lot better since we created the barrier that reads the number plates and does that. We've got a way we're looking at improving that and making that even better. So, yeah.
So I have got a few more questions.
There is one other answer that could be in Gene's plan, okay? And that's people could always stay for quite some time and have more to drink. You know what I mean? That would, not alcohol, I'm not suggesting they do that, but people could certainly stand around and spend a bit more money and then go in their leisure. That would always be very much appreciated.
Obviously, we could carry on now, but you want to drink. And there you go, in pink. Yeah, absolutely, good choice. So what's going to happen is it's going to be a break, but we are going to try and get underway again by 8:05. So if we could manage that, that'd be great. So and then, questions aren't vetted, then I'll be roving round looking to get questions from you. And just one thing, don't leave it till the end of the evening to suddenly start asking the questions. Testing. I'm working now, I think, yeah. Probably quite loud. If you'd like to retake your seats, please, that'd be great. This is where I get to rove around and ask the brave ones and confident ones. You don't have to be articulate. I've had a whole career on BBC Essex without being articulate. So, but we'd love to hear your thoughts and your questions. It's dead simple. All you'll do is stick your hand up, and I'll come round, and you can. There we go. We've already got one ready. Do you know, it might be good if you say what your name is as well, especially if it's Jean Johnson. I think we all want to find Jean Johnson. Yeah, that'd be good. Right. So now, first question.
My name is Marilyn. This is my 44th year watching Colchester United. Wouldn't watch any other team. What I would like to Danny and Nicky to observe is the fantastic support we've had all season, but also since you've taken over. And I have to say, I go to a lot of the away games, but the ones that get up at stupid o'clock, 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock on a Saturday, and then get home well after midnight, or Tuesday night at Barrow and get home just in time to go to work. I just think it ought to be observed, because I think they're fantastic.
Think you'll want to reflect that, Danny?
Yeah, absolutely. For Nicky and I, since we came to the club, the support has just been brilliant, and it's so inspiring to see you all and to meet you all. And yeah, the home support has been brilliant. You know, particularly the Wrexham game. I think over 8,000 people, which was just fantastic. And of course, even on Tuesday night, I think we had close to 5,000 people at the game, which was brilliant. And yeah, the away support. Wow, the nature of League Two, it's a really northern league this season, isn't it? So I know we see a lot of the guys are, you know, either before the game or after the game, and they stay around, and we get to speak to them before we get onto the coach. But yeah, we're just in awe of them, really, because you know you guys work all week, and then to get up at silly o'clock on a Saturday morning to come and support your team, and yeah, it's so appreciated. It really is, and yeah, I think you know our players know they're always so thankful for the support that you give them. But yeah, especially the way that we want the game to be played, because we want to play with such an energy and intensity. For you guys to be able to drive that and help the players and fuel the players is so important. Yes, yeah. Well, and 44 years, you say, so that is amazing. And I know for some of you, you know, for Nicky and I, we were football supporters as well, and you know, to go with our dad to football to watch our team are some of the best memories that we had in our childhood. And yeah, the same for you guys. It kind of, we were just talking now in the interval that it goes through generations, doesn't it? It's kind of, you have to support the team that your family support, and yeah, for us now it's to try to make it really cool to support Colchester United, because for the young people, they can get kind of drawn to the Premier League clubs and the glitz and the glamour, and we have to try to find a way of hooking them, and that's going to be our challenge in the summer for sure.
Did you know, Danny, as well, somebody just told me in the break then that they left at 8 o'clock in the morning to get to Crawley, and they arrived at Crawley at 1 o'clock because of transport issues, and how challenging it is for the supporters to get to games. It's so appreciated that you go, such a long way to make an effort for us. And I think the very least that we can give you is a team that are willing to run really hard, to fight and scrap for every single ball, and to be so committed to play for the badge. And that is something that we're really determined to try to get for next season, is a really committed team that's given its all the time.
Danny, you mentioned the importance of, I think you used the word hooking. That's the youngsters coming through as potential Colchester United supporters of the future. So this is from Tracy Peterson, who's picking up on that theme. What can be done to encourage the players to come over to the family stand for a few minutes after home games and sign autographs for the children before going into the dressing room. Is this something that you as a duo would consider?
Yeah, I definitely think it is. For us, it's to try to keep building the connection, and human relationships only develop over time, and they only develop through interaction, as we all know. And yeah, for our players to give back is so important. I always think the best relationships are two-way. And of course, your support for us has been brilliant, and absolutely we have to try to reciprocate with our time. And we know how much it means to particularly the young people to get a selfie or to get a program signed. This can be so important. And for the young people, once they have the kit, once they have a favourite player, then you know you've got them. And this is how it would have all started for you guys, or for maybe your parents or the parents of your parents. And this is how we. This is how we fall in love with our football teams.
Thank you, Danny. Hartlepool Workington, 1967. That was me. Right, now we've got a question. Who are you and what's your question?
I'm Brian from Colchester. Mr. Cowling, first I'd like to say thank you for the massive financial contribution that you make, and also for the timely appointment of the Cowleys, which has transformed the performances. Given that we have a more than reasonable budget, would you agree that the most significant signing the club can make is that of the head coach?
I mean, yes, it's a very, very important signing, the head coaches, you know, and every time we've tried to look to sign a head coach, we always try to make the best job of it we can. Okay, I mean, obviously, we're really delighted with the brothers and the way they're performing and what they do. But yeah, we never take that lightly. I know some people think we do because we've made a lot of internal appointments, but that's been because there's been a strategy behind it as to why we do that, which has been part of a big plan. I'm always going to think succession planning is a really, really good idea, you know, and because it's brought me a lot of success in my other businesses. So I think that's important. But yeah, the head coaches are massively important. You know, I think, as Danny said earlier, though, so many roles are really important. So if they can't do their job without the recruitment team doing its job well, or the physios doing what they do well, you know, because they need the players on the pitch to be fit, and they need the right players on the pitch. So football is like that. As Danny said again, there's a lot of moving parts, and it's trying to get them all aligned and making sure they're right. And I think we can have a lot of faith in the people we've got are going to work in all areas of the club to make sure that many things are aligned. So yeah, I think we're all really delighted to have Danny and Nicky at the club.
Thank you, Robbie. Next question is from Rahays.
Hi. You talked earlier a bit about recruitment and budget and so on, and I've got a pretty good idea myself, which is very arrogant, I know, of where we need to strengthen, but I wondered if you'd like to comment on where you think you need to strengthen, Danny or Nicky.
Yeah, I think for us, recruitment is such an important part of the success of a football club. And I think the great thing for Nicky and I, we have real clarity over our game idea and our game model. We know exactly the attributes that we need in each position. And having been at the club now since the turn of the year, we've now got a good understanding of the players that we already have in the building. So now it's about trying to make sure that we find the right complement of players in the summer to help us to achieve what we all want for this football club. And you know, first and foremost, we have to retain our status in this division, and we need to find 3 more points. And nobody since the moment we've came in has given us a leg up. You know, we've had some injuries, we've had some problems we've had some sending offs, we've had some games postponed, we've had lots of challenges that we've been able to find the answers to. But we know that we don't anticipate now anybody helping us. We know what we need to do and the points that we need to find. And then once we've done that, I think, like Dimitri's already mentioned, we've started to do some background work in terms of the players that we need and the positions that we need. Obviously, We currently have 6 players on loan, so they naturally will go back to their parent clubs in the summer, and we thank them for their contribution, of course. I think the great thing for us with this season is that there is loads of learning to take place as a football club, and I think that this is for all football clubs, and it's always to try to take the learning from your experiences. I think also that we have a lot of young players at the club that would have benefited so much from this year, because it hasn't always been plain sailing for them. For some of them, it's their first experience in professional football. And, you know, the likes of Jaden Fevrier, the likes of Samson Tavidi, the likes of Bradley Naveen, they all would have taken so much learning from it and will be so much better as a consequence. And this is the great thing about young players. So I think without doing any recruitment, we're going to be in a stronger position when we come back to the beginning of next season. But yeah, absolutely, we need to make sure that we recruit the right players with the right characteristics, and because we've got some young ones, definitely 1 or 2. I always think this, that if you can have 1 or 2 experienced players, that are really good professionals, that they will really help the younger players grow and develop, and they set such an example day in, day out as to how to live your life as a professional, which is so important. And then they normally then drive the standards within the changing rooms. And then I suppose Nicky and I, rather than being the dads, we almost then become the granddads, and we come in when it matters, and then our voices become that much more important. So the experienced players drive the standards on a day-to-day basis, and then for Nicky and I, then we can add to that. But yeah, we have a really good feeling now, having been here for the time we have, as to what the club needs and what the team needs. And it's always for us. If you work out the whys, why do you win? If you work out why you win, and you work out why you come up short on the days that you lose, then if you can understand the whys, then it becomes really clear as to the players that we need to move us forward. And I'll be honest with you, I'm used to winning. My teams are used to winning. My life is a lot better when we win. I expect to win. I expect my teams to win. And, you know, for us, yeah, absolutely, we will be trying to bring winning football to Colchester United next season.
Thanks, Danny. I did ask Rohaise where she thought the main focus should be in terms of recruitment. And I'm looking at Dmitri, wondering whether this position's top of your target list. But Rohaise said, central defender. That's where the priority would be. But that doesn't mean that everyone in this room or you guys think that. I don't know if you want to come back on that. Central defender, Dmitri, Nicky, do you want to come back on that? Priority? Or no comment? That's what Rohaise is sharing with you. Matt, your question.
Hi guys, so Robbie and Dmitri, I was here last year, whereas Neil already pointed out, you said that this season we would have what would have been at the time a top 6 budget, and that any position below that correlation-wise would mean not a successful season in your eyes. Given the position that we're currently in, I was just wondering what learnings are you able to take from this season into next season to ensure a better league position next season?
Thank you, Matt.
Yeah, I think the main lesson I've learned from that is that so let's go back a little bit further. So as we know, we've had 4 poor seasons. There's no getting away from that. We've had 4 poor seasons, and it's no fun. It's certainly no fun owning a club when there's the stress that you could go down and out of the league, you know, and the repercussions of that. So the last 2 seasons, I've promised myself, I've made myself a promise that, okay, it might cost an extra few quid, but I don't want to go through another relegation battle. So I promised myself that last year, that if I put some more money in it, we wouldn't have another relegation battle. So I think the biggest lesson I've learned is you can't just buy yourself a good season. It doesn't happen like that. Okay. Now, I think there are some lessons that I've learned on things that we got wrong this season. But I'll be honest with you, I'm not gonna go out and share all of those in a room like this. They're conversations I've had with people in private, you know, between me and them, and we're confident now that we have learned lessons and we can certainly do a lot better. But the promise that I made last year was that we would have that better budget, because I couldn't during the pandemic years. It did affect my businesses, and I couldn't put the money into the team. So I couldn't actually be disappointed with the coaches at that time, like Hayden and that, because they did have a bottom six budget. So I couldn't be disappointed that we were spending our time in the bottom six. The last couple of years, we've managed to increase the budget, but we have been affected by those 2 years where we struggled. I think it does create the whole club, and it creates a mindset in the club that's hard to turn around. So it needs more than that. Okay, what I can do, I'll promise you we'll have a decent budget next year. I don't know where that'll get us. It should be one that means we don't have a relegation battle if we perform to the budget. Okay, and I guess I'm going to leave it to these guys to try turn around the mindset of the club and get us that winning mentality that they're clearly used to getting a team. So I'll do my bit, and I think everyone in the club really wants us to do well. So
thank you, Robert. Sorry, Robert. Robbie. This is Robert. Rob. Just get the owner and the chairman's name wrong. This is Robert, and Robert wants to ask you something very topical. You can all join in on this one. It's all about FA Cup replays and the end of them.
Yeah, this is my first year as a season ticket holder. It's been, as you were saying earlier, it's a world away from the Premier League, so I've really noticed the difference in atmosphere. But my question is obviously about the announcement this morning from the FA regarding the cancellation of FA Cup replays. I was wondering what the club response to that was, given that obviously Tranmere released a statement on X or Twitter.
Thank you, Robert. So FA Cup replays, Robbie. Were you consulted on this as a club, getting rid of FA Cup replays?
right, so I didn't hear you well. It's not your fault. I've got to admit, at my age, I am getting a little bit deaf, and I don't always hear things clear. So, like my opinion on.
So today, it's been announced there'll be no FA Cup replays from first round onwards.
Yeah, okay.
And I think there are really two questions. A, your thoughts on getting rid of FA Cup replays. And then the second thing is, as a club, were you consulted, or was this just visited upon you from upon high, the Premier League, the Big Six?
Yeah, so I guess it's an FA rule, so the FA wouldn't involve the clubs in that decision. If it's an EFL Cup, then we would have some sort of say in what went on, I would guess. But as far as the FA are concerned, it's their competition, and we wouldn't have a lot of say on it. I think it can be disappointing, because I think at clubs of our size, we're always looking forward that we might get a game at a big club, and if we get a big team here, we can hold them to a draw and then go away somewhere. I think we'd like that. It may save me one day from cheering if someone like Tottenham equalise, so I knew we could get a big payday away at Tottenham, but that is a joke, by the way. I wouldn't do that, but yeah, I don't know what to say about it, really. I can understand why they're doing it. You know, there's a congestion of fixtures. The Premier League, who, you know, don't want there to be such a congestion of fixtures. And I think it is difficult for all of us now, you know, the pace of the game and the way it's played. And these guys will tell you there are too many games at times for the players. So I guess that's what they're trying to do. I don't have a strong opinion on it. It's maybe a little bit disappointing. I don't like penalties as a way of settling games. I never have done. So are they going to go straight to penalties? Is there going to be extra time? What are they saying?
That's not been clarified as yet, but that's what's been happening in the EFL Cup. That happened at Cardiff City early in the season. Straight to penalties. Straight to Andy. Let's go a question.
Yeah, good evening. Obviously, we've had a fair few disappointments this season, but I wanted to flip that and ask what you thought the success stories of this season are.
Yeah, I think ultimately as a football club, we're disappointed in the position that we find ourselves in, for sure. I think the great thing is that we have had some really good individual performances from a number of young players. I think Jaden Fevrier is one that has grown, and I don't think anybody anticipated, probably when we signed him, I don't want to speak on other people's behalves, but I don't think anybody anticipating playing as many games as he has and playing such a prominent role in the team. I think I think on Tuesday night was probably his best performance since we've been at the club, for sure. I thought he was yeah, I thought he was fantastic. The way he took defence to attack, carried such a threat all night, and has so much quality and so much room for improvement. He's a really good learner. He's a really bright boy. You only ever have to tell him once, and these are the players that we enjoy working with. I think young Bradley and Sampson are just so exciting. I just see both of them, the attributes that they have, and how much room they've got for development as well in their games. And this, I think, can be really exciting for the football club, because, you know, to have two of our own players in that position, which is such a pivotal position on the pitch, credit to the academy and the work that Macca and the academy staff have done. So I would say that they would be the standouts to me. I'm just respectful that I've only been here for maybe part of it.
Yeah, I think a lot of the players have improved. Some of the younger ones are really established now, like your Afaris, like your Jadens, your Samsons, and they're going to turn into even better players than they already are. I think Junior Chamadou moving on to the Championship and going on to play in the African Cup of Nations for Cameroon, I think is a big achievement for the football club. I know one we don't directly necessarily get the benefit of, but something I think that everyone in this room should be proud of. I think Sammy Smollett's being top scorer in the Championship, once again, not something that we're necessarily benefiting from, but something that the whole football club and everyone that's involved, including you guys, should be proud of. I think Joe Taylor was a real success and a real good bit of recruitment that we can be proud of, and now he's doing well in League One. So I think, although the team performance, we probably haven't performed as a team as often as we'd like really, really well, there's lots of key individuals that have actually had some really good moments. And those younger players, we've got them under good contracts and long contracts. And hopefully they're going to bring us, you know, even more exciting memories in the future.
Dmitri, just picking you up on Joe Taylor, outstanding recruitment. One of the best strikers in League Two, goal conversion rates, everything about him. So good, goes back to Luton, ends up at Lincoln City. That's a success. What about I was going to use the word failure, to replace him in any way, that kind of player, or was that simply asking too much?
Yeah, I think when we looked at the January window, there wasn't a kind of like-for-like replacement out there. January is a tough window. Everyone's looking for a number 9 like Joe Taylor in January. The key is trying to get, you know, ahead of that. We didn't think there was one out there, so we tried to kind of replace his goals and spread them around a little bit. We felt we had Will Edwards coming back who could contribute. We thought Harry Anderson would create some goals and assists for us, as he did, but then was unfortunate with injuries, and we felt Conor Wilkinson would also contribute in injuries have maybe stopped his progress a little bit. So we thought that those 3 players combined might be able to chip in, not with the amount of goal contributions that Joe Taylor got, but between them, hopefully still give us the kind of attacking threat overall. Injuries have probably hindered that as much as we'd liked it, but that was certainly the plan. But an option to replace him in January just wasn't out there, and the position we found ourselves in as well also makes it harder, you know, to recruit at that point in time. So we tried to spread it around a little bit, and hopefully we've just about got enough goals in the team to get us over the line. But Tom Hopper was another one that these guys in January really wanted to invest in time and effort, because a player that these guys really believe in and has always admired. And as you can see now, that work that these guys have put into him is really starting to come good.
Robbie, you want to say something?
Yeah, one of the things I'd like to add, for me, one of the big successes for this year that's made me most proud of the club is the way that all of the staff at the club have reacted to what we go through. So it has been a difficult season. You know, there's been difficult times at the club. Nobody has known, and we still don't know where we're playing our football next year. But to see the way that Tim and his team and all of the other staff at the club actually dig really deep when they come under criticism, when they're not to blame for what, you know, the decisions maybe I've made and what's going on the pitch. And also seeing some of our young players and the coaches, everyone is trying their absolute best. And there's so many variables in football. I could easily make excuses about all the injuries we had, and I won't, because they could potentially come back and be down to us as to why we had them. But to see the way that the people working in the club have taken the criticism on board and just dug deep, I've been really, really proud of our staff. And recently, when we had the issues with the pitch, And I'm telling you, that could, if the league hadn't allowed us to pull that pitch in, I'm not sure we would have got all the games done. But the way the staff dug in and were out there working hard, and you probably heard when I said this on BBC, you had Danny and Nicky turning up too. So I'm there with my family, we're forking the pitch, we're shoveling bits off, they come up, they ask for a spade and a shovel, and then they went and made us a cup of tea because we had people volunteering and doing it. The efforts of this club and the people that work in it are exceptional. And sometimes you only find that out when things are bad and when they're going not so well for you. You know, you sort of find out who you want to be in the trenches with. And we're really lucky at this club. We've got some outstanding people that work in the club, you know.
How confident?
Dmitri has worked his nuts off all year. I know maybe he comes under thing, but he absolutely works so hard. And it's difficult at a club. Sometimes the January transfer window ain't easy when you're near the bottom. I can tell you it's a lot easier when you're not. So maybe that's our fault for being there, but you see how hard the people work in the club, and they really do. So, yeah, great respect to those fans that get up early and do this and do that. The people that work in the club, I'm particularly proud of the staff, and they go way beyond what they need to do. So,
how confident are you that we're not going to see a repeat of the pitch problems next season?
My problem is I'm sort of a logical person and think logically, and I could see no way this season that we were going to have this season because of what we went into the season with and what we put into it. So it's really hard for me to say it definitely won't happen next season. We've got different personnel, and we feel really confident in the people that we've got in charge. So I felt very confident last year. I feel extremely confident. I'm always an optimist. That's how I've always been. You know, if I have one strength, it's to get knocked down, get up, and get on with it, and go again. You know, and most of the successes that I've had in life of going from one failure to the other, and and not giving up until it becomes a success. Nothing's ever been given easy, as Danny said with the football. Nothing ever comes easy, and if we keep ourselves in the battle, there's so many things at our club that are aligned where we could have a great season. There's other clubs that are maybe having good seasons at the time, but you look at them and you think that could go badly wrong for you next season. Everything's there why we should be able to do well. Okay, so.
Thanks, Robbie. We've got a question. I think this is for Danny and Nicky about post-match, Brian.
Good evening. I'd like to ask Danny and Nicky how they go about their post-match debriefs and what the process involves.
Yeah, it's a good question, that one, because we, Danny and myself, often watch the game back separately the day after the match. And we've also got a coach analyst as well called Lorenzo Dolcetti that you might have seen on our bench during matches. We've got another analyst as well called Ender, who's gaining experience in working in the Football League for the first time, and it's been great to have their support as well. So there is a department where we work on the analysis of performance. And the process for us is we always come back to our principles, and that was what Danny put on the slide earlier, because we feel that that's a great way of us, looking at our performance to see what principles did we do well and what principles did we do not so well in this game, and that always keeps us very grounded, because football's such an emotional game. It's probably good to go home after the match and have a bit of a break, have a rest, recharge the batteries, and then to take the learning the next day, because I think you see things quite differently when you watch it back. And then, we go back into the training ground and spend time with the players. We have a meeting with the players. Normally we have a collective meeting that lasts about 15 to 20 minutes, where we just highlight some key points, whether that was some key points that we did well or whether that was some areas that we could do better, and take our learning that way. And then during the week, we spend some time working on departments. It might be we just look at the defenders, or the midfielders might have a meeting, or the attackers, or sometimes we have meetings with just the left-hand side of the pitch or the right-hand side of the pitch, because the relationships on the field of play are so important for things to work well, and working individually with the players as well, so they can look back at their performance and have our support where they're clear on the things that they're doing well, and also the things that they can improve on and do better. This allows us to feel throughout the week that we're really, doing some good work off the field. We kind of call it the off-field coaching. And if you can do the right amount of that and make some progress doing that with the players, then that also then translates on the pitch when you work on the grass, whether it's in training and the exercise we do during the week, or hopefully trying to improve for the next match that the players play in. The game actually goes on an app called Huddle, so that's a piece of software that we use, and the players are able to see the match themselves and to watch that back. And many of them spend lots of time, like Danny said earlier. Young Jaden Fevrier, he's really keen to watch his match back and clips himself. And then, it's always to keep the lines of communication open with the players so that we can keep supporting them to try to improve their performance.
So Danny and Nicky had fantastic success. You're all aware of this at Lincoln City. And the day in which they got the championship trophy, they played Colchester United at Sinsel-Bank. And the used one. What was the score, everyone? Can you remember the score? Oh, I think didn't Sammy Smoddy score a hat-trick? What a fantastic day that was. Sorry, guys, but Rob wants to ask you about the Lincoln City experience, I think.
Rob. Indeed. Hi, guys. Yes, when you took over Lincoln, they had a crowd base pretty similar to what we get here at the moment. When you left, the crowd was pushing up to 10,000. So obviously you had success there, playoffs and auto promotion there as well. And everyone knows success breeds growth in the stands, yeah. But apart from that, I mean, what we've seen from you, you are a lot more animated and kind of reaching out towards the crowd and the kind of community than perhaps anything I can remember seeing in recent times. So my question is, apart from obviously the success on the pitch, was there anything that you did to grow the community and get the community brought into the football club? And secondly, if so, is that something you feel that could be replicated here, and what it is? And if I might just cheekily ask a second question. So, Robbie, this one's to you, and it's just reference to what we just spoke about on the pitch. Has the problem been identified, what was causing the drainage issues, and is it planned to rectify it in the summer? And is any cost of that going to be at the detriment of the transfer budget? Thank you.
So do you want to take the Lincoln experience? Can it be replicated at Colchester? And then Robbie, something about whether has the problem been identified? Because as I understand, it's deep underground somewhere. But Danny,
I think Lincoln was quite a unique place in the world. It's a little bit off the beaten track, and when we first arrived at Lincoln, the people, it was really obvious that the people of Lincoln had a huge affiliation, not just for the football club, but for the city. They were so proud to be Lincoln and Lincolnshire. And when we first arrived, we had 1,300 season ticket holders, and the average crowds were about just over 2,000. And it was our ambition to try to grow that and make it cool to support Lincoln City. And I think there's 107 schools in Lincolnshire. I know because we visited every one in the 4 years that we were there. So we went to all the schools. We went out and we met the young people. And I think, like I said before, it's about human connection. And you have to go and do these things if you want. If you think you've got something that you really believe in and you're really proud of, you want to go and share that with people, and you want to try to hook them and get them and capture their imagination. Of course, we managed to have some success. We won the league and we had a cup run, which allowed us to get to the quarter final of the FA Cup as a non-league team. And I think by about Christmas in that first year, our average crowds were about maybe just short of 5,000, and by the end of the season we were playing in front of 10,000, and the tickets were really hot because it was only a 10,000 all-seater stadium. And I think it was the team had done well, but it was also the work that we did, and we got the players out in the community, and we connected people, and we worked really hard at that because we knew we had clarity over where we were today, where the club was. We had total vision of where we wanted to take the club. And I think once you get the start point and the destination, then the stepping stones become that much clearer. And what was really clear is that it wasn't ever going to be a two-man job. So it was going to need everybody that had Lincoln City in their heart to achieve that success. And football clubs are such amazing places because, the love that the supporters and the people have for their club is so big. And you have to use this because makes you, together you can become so powerful. And if you can get like-minded people in the same room, all fighting for the same cause, then that in itself can be so incredibly powerful, and it can create such energy and such momentum. And I just believe that anything is possible. People would tell us. I remember we played Burnley in the FA Cup, and everybody said it was impossible. They were a team that hadn't been beaten all season in the Premier League at home, and everyone told us it was impossible that we could beat them. But that, like we said at the time, was only an opinion. Yeah, for us, we think we believe only we control our destiny. Nobody else gets that privilege.
Robbie, is there anything you wanted to add about drainage and costs?
Okay, so the pitch. So the biggest problems with the pitch, and we're always going to have them, is you've only got to go down about 10 inches out there and you're just on a bed of clay. All right, so that's always going to be an issue. Now, the way they get around that, and I don't want to be too technical, is you put a number of drains, lateral drains across, okay, where it cut into the clay, which feed into a main drain, and you have loads of sand slits to get the water to those drains, okay? And over time, although that pitch has had more sand slits on it than Jaywick Beach, I think, but anyway, over time, that's failed. And there was a big clue this year. Although we spent quite a lot of money on the pitch in the summer, there was a big clue because we had the first game of the season called off. I mean, it was almost biblical rain, but there was obviously clear problems with the pitch from the beginning, and it's too late then to fix it. So the plan this year is we're effectively going to, what was installed as the drainage when this was built, we're effectively going to do the same again, but on top of what's done, the other side of the pitch. So it's going to have a new main drain, and it's going to have all lateral drains put in between the ones that exist. The sand slits should meet, so we should have almost belts and braces, but we're still on a bed of clay. So it's never going to be perfect. The weather does seem to be getting wetter, as we know, when certainly this year it was, and that may continue. So there are going to be some issues, but we're going to work really hard to address it in the way that we think's best. Now, in terms of what you asked about the money and where does that money come from, because if we spend it on there, are we going to take it out of the budget? Okay, we're not going to take it out of the budget. I've committed into what we'll have as a reasonable budget this year. And the way we're able to afford that is because what I've done at the moment, I own a building company and we do our own groundworks. And what we've done at the moment, I've signed off on it's £106,000 worth of our own equipment. So we can, our own trencher, our own sand spreader, our own dresser. So we're going to do all the work ourselves rather than bringing a company. So it's going to be dearer for us this year, but then we've got that equipment ourselves that I'll get it back over the next 5 or 6 years. So I'm able to make that investment now and get that money back over that time. It also means we've got that equipment to improve the training ground, because that can also be better with the amount of rain that goes on it. And I own a nice golf course that I can also spend that on. So the joined up sort of approach works. But yeah, we're making a big investment on the pitch this year, and it's an expense, but it's not going to affect the playing budget.
Robbie, I'm very conscious of time, so I've got a few questions I'll get through, fairly quick answers, and then Darryl will probably finish things off. Anything that planned to improve the match day experience for home and away fans? Anything in the pipeline in that regard?
Okay, well, I mean, one of the things, I think getting more fans in is going to make a better atmosphere, and hopefully we're going to improve it for the home fans by winning, and which will be less fun for the away fans. But the main thing, I'm actually really proud of our stadium. I think we've got a great stadium, and everyone that comes to visit us from other clubs always says how good our stadium is. So I think we're really lucky to have the stadium we've got. I think it's a good stadium. We've got good staff that work around it, as I've said before. So, and we're always looking at ways that we can improve it. I don't know of anything major that we've got planned, but we're always trying to improve the stadium. So,
how annoyed are you that you're not going to get a cut of the Sammy Smoddox deal when he leaves Blackburn and goes to some Premier League club? Because I don't think Colchester United will get anything out of it, will they?
We may get a little bit. So we had a sell-on with Bristol, that then had a sell-on with Peterborough, that then had a sell-on with Blackburn. And so some of that money trickles back. So we'll get whatever ends up going back to Bristol, we'll get a percentage of that. So it's not going to be a lot. But you know what? I just think we should be really proud of Sammy Smoddox.
Done fantastically well. Yep. You
know, I've said many times, I wouldn't own a football club if we didn't have a really thriving academy and that we were trying to develop young people to do well. And Sammy's a really, really brilliant story, and we should be really proud of him. And one of the things that was mentioned before about Junior Chamadou and the Sammy Smodics and the Frankie Kents of this world, they still love Colchester United. They're still regularly in touch. They really want to see it do well. I think Junior Chamadou was recently in the away end at one of the games.
At Mansfield.
Salford, you know what I mean?
No, that was
These people have been here. They love the club. They love the way the club's helped them. And as I say, for me, I get a lot of satisfaction out of what these boys have done, and are still doing. And I'm looking forward to seeing Junior go on and do well, and Kwame Poku go on and do well, and all of them. They're great kids, and they deserve a good future.
Thanks. I did promise Darryl a question.
Thank you very much. Can I just first start by congratulating Robbie, Dmitri, Tim and the whole team for bringing in the Cowleys. I think every single supporter you speak to is united, I think, now, and it's great to see so much positivity around the club, and you can feel that at games now as well, which is great. And I would also encourage season ticket holders and friends to bring people to the club. I think we had 4,500 here Tuesday, which was fantastic for where we are in the league. My question goes to, I think we got a really good balanced team now. I think, and credit to the Cowleys as well for getting the best out of Tom Hopper and John Akinde in the last few games. I think they've been phenomenal. But I think Joe Taylor was such an inspired signing for the club. Is someone like him a key target? Obviously, he's going to be unrealistic for next season, but someone like him a key target for the club?
I think for us, 1 and 9, so the goalkeeper and the number 9 are they're such important players within the team. So, yeah, I know Robbie's spoken about the budget, and of course financing football is important, but it's actually how you spend the money. It's always about getting value for the money that you spend. And you know, in our career, we've enjoyed a number of promotions, and we've never had the biggest budgets in the division, but we've always been able to get the best value from the finance that you have. And yeah, for us, we allocate good money to the number 1 position and the number 9, because my feeling is always that they're the 2 positions which can gain you or lose you the most points. So if you can get those 2 positions right, I think that gives you a really good foundation to push on from, and then obviously you build the spine of the team from there. But I believe we're in a really good place to be able to add to the group that we have, and that to me is so exciting. Our real focus at the moment is to earn the 3 points that we need to retain our status, and then the moment we do that, I just think that the future looks so bright. And this is Nicky and I have been lucky enough to work in football in these roles for 15 seasons now, and worked at a number of clubs across 8 of the top 9 divisions in this country, and we find a club that has so much going for it. I mean, it has a brilliant academy, it has some brilliant staff, it has some fantastic young players, it has outstanding facilities, and it's got everything that you need in order to be successful. And all we have to do now is bring it all together. I think keep working on growing the connection, keep trying to make sure that we try to get better every day. And if we do that, then yeah, I think anything is possible for us as a football club. I genuinely do.
Thank you, Danny. I did say that was the last question. You know the way it works. One more question from Dave. Matchday experience, I think.
Yes, Robbie, you talk about the matchday experience, and I'm a little confused with the season ticket holders not being able to utilise this bar. Now, obviously, I've been fortunate enough to be in a box. I've been here a few years in the meals and that, and I'm finding that lately the portions, the food is not the same as it was. I spent 15 months trying to get an answer as to why, when I had a cold meal served me and I asked it to be returned, it wasn't returned and I didn't get any money back. All I got was, well, next time you come, I hope it's better. So I know I'm being a bit petty here, but I'm sure a lot of season ticket holders in W4 would like to come up here. Maybe there's a good reason they can't, but at a point where you get the house full, you're going to make a lot of money in here. It's going to be an exciting place to come and talk about the game and so on and so forth. Without that group that are outside not being able to get in here, it doesn't have that fizz. I mean, I come here every day when there's a game on. First one in the door, up here, we have some great banter with whoever's here. There's a lot of people who would come if they could come in, and you'd be making money at the bar and food.
Thank you, Dave. So, any thoughts on that, Robbie?
So again, sorry, this is my hearing here. It was a bit thing. So there was a complaint about the food.
There was a complaint
served.
about a meal that was
About
served
the
cold, and then, but then the bigger one was access here for a wider number of season ticket holders in the West Stand. I think that's right, Dave. Got that right? Yep.
Okay, so first of all, what I would like to say about the hospitality is I hear of very, very few complaints. We're never going to get no complaints. We are sometimes going to get some people whose meal is not to their satisfaction, and I would like to think that we deal with that really, really well, and I'm sorry if we haven't, you know what I mean? And if there's something I can find out that we did particularly wrong on that occasion, then it's the first I've heard of it. But generally, we do get very, very good feedback, you know, so on this. I have a group of people I know that often come and visit the stadium, and I'll always ask them what their experience was like. And usually the feedback is extremely good when it comes in the hospitality area. So I'm disappointed that it wasn't good for you, and I apologise for that. Access to this bar, there's access to, everyone can have access to it. We do need to bring some money into the club. You know, everyone wants us to spend more money and do more things. So we do have to look at ways we do it. So anyone's got access, but certain tickets you pay for have access to this bar, and some of them don't. And it gives people a choice then, because some people have a choice where they don't necessarily want the full hospitality package, but they want to be able to come to the game and sit in this stand. So we just try to give people as many choices as possible, you know. So there is. I thought the access was reasonable. I don't fully understand what the problem is, but. Yeah, so as you said, we can get about 3,000 fans in this stand, but we can't have 3,000 fans in here. So we have to limit in some way or another. So we do that via a pricing mechanism that people buy seats with access to this bar and others don't. So that's what we do. Whether that price is too high and that's limiting it or what, I'm not sure. I've not heard that. This is the first time this has come up in all the meetings we've had here, and we've had a similar charging mechanism for a number of years. So, but as I say, we can't have everybody having access to this because it would be a risk, you know, and a fire risk. So we'd have to limit it somewhere. So, and that's the mechanism we use at the moment. We could look if there's a better way. I'll have a chat with Tim after his as well, and see what other methods that we've got. But in general, we've got to limit it in some way, and the club does have to try to bring some extra money in one way or another.
Thank you, Robbie. So none of the questions from the floor, none of the questions on my list, of which my apologies, I didn't get through all of them. None of them were about Colchester United's end of season and about whether they might still get relegated. In other words, those 2 wins means that the vast majority of you, I think, whilst you're still looking at that league table, are very confident that the job is almost done. But Danny and Nicky, the job's not quite yet done, is it? I thought you might like to finish on that one this evening. Job still to be done. Notts County Saturday, and as many people who can get up to Meadow Lane as possible.
Yeah, absolutely. I think for us, we're in fight mode at the moment. We've been in fight mode for a pretty long time now. The last two wins were really important. I think they come at a pivotal time in the season. Like Nicky alluded to earlier, I think we're really proud of the efforts of the players. I think we're a strong team now, and I think we're a tough team. I think we showed that on Tuesday night in the way that we defended our box against a really physical, direct Grimsby team that loaded the box a lot. I think we'll have to show those qualities in a different way on Saturday. We play a Notts County team that like to possess the ball, and we're going to have to pick a running team, and we're going to pick a team that enjoy running, and then we also have to be good enough with the ball ourselves, because if we can be, we think we can cause Notts County some problems. And yeah, we know what we need to do now. For us, I'm not interested in the permutations. I'm interested in us getting the job done ourselves. And I think when we do get the job done, then I think we'll be really proud of our efforts. And yeah, there won't be wild celebrations, not for me, but I will be super excited about the future of this football club. And I can sit here and assure you that Nicky and I will work every single minute of every single day to make sure that we bring brighter tomorrows.
Great finish. Thank you very much. And thank you very much for attending this evening, and to all of our panel. And as I said, if as many of you as possible can get up to Meadow Lane on Saturday, they've made it absolutely clear what a difference that can make. But if you can't get there, it is on BBC Essex, 103.5 FM, Freeview 734, text 81333 site. Enough from me. Thank you so much, guys, for all your thoughts this evening. And thank you so much for you coming, and for so many of you following this on YouTube. Good evening, and thank you very much.